So I just finished listening to one of the greatest singers in the world, Andre Bocelli, sing, and in this video I wanted to talk about music and using music intentionally to create a spark in you, to allow that energy to shift you, to transform you, to inspire you. And that's exactly what I felt today listening to Andre Bocelli. It was honestly unbelievable. He's one of the greatest singers in the world, and when you listen to him, it's like after this concert, it's the realization that it doesn't get better than that. You know? It's like out of 7-8 billion people on this earth, I've listened to one of the greatest singers in person, and honestly, it was the best concert I've been to. Now, music, right? Music is something that can really shift our mood, and shift our mood instantly. But often we listen to mind-numbing music that keeps us in a trance or deadens our energy. I know I've used music in the background unintentionally to study, to work, to do whatever, and you're kind of just using it to drown out yourself. But I'm sure you've listened to a concert before online or been to a concert. You've noticed this energy in the concert. It's conducive to a particular emotion or particular emotional state. Isn't it interesting that when you listen to a concert, it brings up something in you, right? Or if you watch a concert live. And I think part of that is the atmosphere of this crowd, the atmosphere of people coming together, and that energy shift that happens where a lot of people are, cheering, very, very inspired, very happy to listen to this music. Now, listening to opera music or listening to music that is really coming from this heart-focused place, like I was listening to tonight. When I listen to music like that, I've noticed it really opens up the heart. And it produces this shift inside of me. This beautiful kind of shift. And today when I was listening, I was smiling. I was smiling so much as I felt, this loving kindness, this gratitude emerge in the heart. And I didn't even have to do anything. It was just kind of emerging. I was kind of allowing it to emerge. So music is very powerful. We should not forget that. We should not forget the power of music. And so let's use music intentionally. Think about when you listen to music in your life, audit when you listen to music, and curate some of the best songs for different emotional states. This is something I want to get back into, actually. I made a playlist full of tribal music, very grounding music, earthy music from the TV show Vikings. It's very grounding. And I have a playlist for more spiritual music, often very heart-focused, or more playful sexual energy, which is more R&B style music. Every type of music has a different energy behind it. And you can notice that it inspires the dancing too, right? I love the dancing here. They had a bit of dancing in the performance, very elegant music. So you can think about music as used intentionally can be this amazing source of inspiration. And if you think about hundreds of years ago, we didn't have, iTunes, we didn't have our AirPods, we couldn't just listen to music at will. So if you were going to listen to music, it was at a tavern with a live band or an orchestra. And the orchestra is kind of like this meditation that you put yourself in for a few hours where you're just purely present and focused, and you're not checking your phone, but you're focused on the music. I think there's this element of presence that emerges when you are being intentional about listening to music. And when we are intentional about it, our experience of it changes too. I mean, I don't know about you, but often I listen to music and I'm not really enjoying listening to music. And actually, when I listen to music, it's because part of me deep inside is dissatisfied or maybe suffering a little bit, and so it wants to use music as this tool to kind of numb things down. We don't want to do that. We want to use it to uplift, inspire, create more purpose. So intentional music listening is exactly doing that. It's being purposeful about listening to music, curating the right songs for the right emotional, energetic states, using those purposefully to shift how we feel quickly, rapidly through this, medium, which we really have to appreciate, because it's pretty crazy when you think about it. Like, just think about how you can listen to music anytime with your phone or whatever, all around the world, and you have this tool. But remember that tool's gotta know when to use it, gotta know why you want to use it. When you know those two things, you can use it in the right way. It's like you don't want to use a spade to dig up concrete. It's not going to work, right? You want to use, a jackhammer for that. You want to break the concrete. But you want to use the spade to dig the dirt. That's just a simple analogy. You can think about how tools can be used purposefully. You think about great artists. There's this idea of the muse. They use a muse as something of inspiration. It could be somebody they look up to. It could be a woman. That's very common, using a woman as the muse, the artist's muse. Or a great piece of art, a great piece of something you get really inspired about. Using that to create a feeling of wonderment inside yourself, wonderment about the art, wonderment about the music, wonderment about the thing, and using that to dive into an internal shift. You're kind of creating, in a sense, polarity between you and that. And when you do that, you're kind of using art as a medium to transcend your personal self, to realize that great things can be created, and it's like you are no longer the medium, but it's like God is coming in at that point. You can call it God, or you can call it something beyond yourself. But I think many great artists of the past knew this. You can think of the Romans, you can think of many historical figures that used this higher purpose to create some type of meaning, and using that meaning, inspiring them and allowing them to create something that's more constructive. Because often our personal self, our ego desires, comes from a place that's maybe a bit less constructive, maybe a bit destructive sometimes, right? We create frustration, or we react to different things, different people, different situations in negative ways. So creating that deeper internal meaning, grounding into that internal state through music or any other medium, is very powerful. So just think about that. Create that wonderment when it comes to music. And that's exactly what I felt today. Andre Bocelli, that wonderment. And when him and his son, the duet, probably the best father-son duet best father-son singing in the world. They came up and they sang a few songs. Oh man, it was beautiful. And before this concert, you know, I wasn't feeling on top of this world. You're probably looking at me now and you're like, this guy's high AF, you know. I was actually, you could say, a bit agitated. I was coming here in a rush. And you could feel that in the collective energy coming in. You know, finding the seats, and the stadium here is awful as far as their seating goes. It's like a cricket showgrounds, and you know, like everybody's coming in late. So there's a bit of that agitation. But after a few songs, and then him really diving into it, and then me really feeling the music, I was blown away. So today, this video is really just a reminder to anchor in that thought, that intention to use music meaningfully, purposefully, with the right energy, knowing when to use the tool of music, knowing how to use it, and deploying it in the places and the times where it really uplifts you.